Hi all, this is Luca speaking on Music Fingerprints, and today I'm talking you about what I consider one of the greatest albums ever, Rust in Peace by Megadeth. I hope this video will be interesting for you, and in that case consider liking it and subscribing to the channel, letting me know what you think in the comments below. 1990 was a very prolific year for music. If we take a look at the album charts, MC Hammer spent 20 weeks at number 1 with Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em. I had that one on cassette, as well as the second album by number of weeks spent at number 1, Paul Abdul's Forever Your Girl. At third place we find Vanilla Ice, that I didn't purchase, while I had the following two, But Seriously by Phil Collins and I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got by Sinead O'Connor, that included her most famous single, that is Nothing Compares to You, the rendition of the song by Prince. Though not visible in terms of number 1 albums, the hair metal, glam metal trend was in full swing, and new bands were still popping up like Firehouse, while established ones were releasing albums like Extreme's Pornograffiti, or introducing new unplugged concepts, like Tesla with 5-man acoustical jam. I had all the 3 albums that I mentioned, and I now realize that I probably purchased every album released that year. The hair metal party was approaching the end though. Nirvana's Nevermind was going to be released the following year, and the documentary The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years, by Penelope Spheeris, had been released in 1988, depicting the real situation of the glam metal scene. Hair metal was becoming a caricature of itself, and you could see things changing, also in the music style. In this year, in fact, we find 2 great albums that are pretty far from the glam metal approach. Alice in Chains' debut album Facelift, and Pantera's Cowboys from Hell, that I consider a debut as well, being the first record with Phil Anselmo. 1990's Judas Priest Painkiller album is a staple on how hard music was supposed to be. And what's more, at the time, thrash metal was growing stronger. The genre, pioneered by Metallica, was born in antithesis to glam metal, to thrash all frills and bring hard music back to the core. In 1990, we have albums released by Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss, Testament, Souls of Black, and then what I consider a masterpiece, Rust in Peace by Megadeth. In 1990, Megadeth was an already established band. Their previous 3 records had been released with increasing success, following, and sales. Megadeth was the brainchild of guitarist Dave Mustaine, who formed this band to get revenge after being kicked out from Metallica. Dave was the core composer, backed up by bassist David Ellefson. Lineup changes had involved both the drummer and lead guitarist seats during the years. Both Gar Samuelson and Chris Poland, in fact the original drummer and lead guitarist respectively on the first 2 records, had been replaced by Chuck Bieler and Jeff Young on the 3rd album, So Far So Good So What. But that lineup was short-lived. Bieler and Young were dismissed after 1988. While Nick Menza, who served as a sort of drum tech, was already around, waiting in the wings, and immediately filled the drummer's spot once vacant, the guitarist spot couldn't be filled as fast. The 1988-89 period was tough for Megadeth, as both the band and the individuals were having a hard time. There were issues with addictions, and the high point, playing at Castle Donington at the Monsters of Rock, was immediately followed by a low the very next day, when European dates had to be cancelled as the band was heading back home. David Ellefson couldn't make it anymore, he entered rehab, and Dave Mustaine did as well. By the end of 1989, some things had started falling into place. Both Ellefson and Mustaine were sober. Mustaine had met his wife-to-be. Ron Lafitte took charge as their manager. So by the beginning of 1990, the Rust in Peace songs were already written and rehearsed by Mustaine, Ellefson and Menza, and the pre-production process had started. The band was still auditioning guitar players, but it proved hard to find one fitting the job description, until Ron Lafitte had Dave listen to the solo record of a guitar player by the name of Marty Friedman. While the multicolored hair in the album cover didn't impress Dave, to say the least, when he heard him playing, he was knocked out. He asked to have Marty audition the very next day. The audition obviously went smooth. David was impressed by Marty's playing, and the chemistry between the four members was great. What fans now consider the classic Megadeth lineup was in place, and the Rust in Peace recording started. And if you want all the details about the making of this album, some behind the scenes and stories of Rust in Peace on the road, go read the Dave Mustaine's book Rust in Peace, the inside story of the Megadeth masterpiece. When the record was released, it received widespread acclaim both by critics and by fans. It went immediately gold, it's now platinum, and it received a Grammy nomination for Best Metal Performance. It's fair to say that this album is one of the most influential records of all time for heavy metal. There's no weak song, it's heavy but melodic, it's fast but complex and articulated. The lyrics are great and the guitar playing is obviously phenomenal, both on the soloing and on the rhythm. You have Dave Mustaine, that is probably the best rhythm player in metal, and Marty Friedman, who is recognized as one of the most talented melodic shredding guitar players. What's more, many songs include time signature changes, feel changes that make you hold your breath, and they sound so fresh. If you like music, you cannot but appreciate and be inspired by this record. As for the songs, as I said before, all the songs in these albums are well deserving, but the two that open the record have that extra something in my opinion and are in fact the two of their most known songs. The first one in the tracklist is Holy Wars, The Punishment Due. This is probably my favorite song ever and it would deserve an episode on its own. It's a sonic assault from the first bars of music and it starts moderately fast but aggressive and it is so rich even before the lyrics start after almost 1 minute and a half. You can experience fierce guitar riffs, transitions, halftime feels, syncopated rhythms. It's great, and the first part of the song, Holy Wars, ends with Marty playing a Spanish-style guitar solo, while the rest of the band is out, and then enters again on a slower tempo for the bridge and the second section, The Punishment Due. The tempo then gets faster again on the last section that starts with a great guitar solo by Mustaine that closes with an ascending pattern that opens to the final verses. The song is very articulate and the lyrics are as well, talking about wars based on religion, punishment and revenge. The second song is Anger 18 that, as I said before, together with Holy Wars has become a Megadeth classic ever since. The song is named after the US Air Force base where an alien aircraft was speculated to be brought after an accident. The lyrics match the title, speaking about foreign life-form studies and secret experiments in an inaccessible place that's impossible to escape from. On both the initial tracks, Nick Menza's drumming is notable, as well as David Ellefson's bass lines that basically match the rhythm guitar's lines. The following songs are Techno Prisoners and Five Magics. The former is another song about war that starts with another great riff by Mustaine and is energy intensive, with lyrics that are like commands ordered by a drill sergeant, while Five Magics, as the name suggests, includes lyrics around a fantasy and an adventure plot. This is another song worth noting for its structure, as it includes different sections with tempo and feel changes with amazing harmonized guitars and obviously great solos. Poison Was the Cure is an ultra-fast paced song that Mustaine himself thought he wrote about a relationship, but he then understood it was a metaphor for heroin. It is followed by Lucretia, another song about mystery and mysticism, where the dark lyrics about this mysterious woman are followed by a very good guitar work. And then we have Tornado of Souls, another masterpiece. The song is about Mustaine's breakup with his longtime girlfriend Diana. The song includes a great solo by Marty Friedman. It's a long solo that starts with a very melodic work and that turns into a shreddy yet still melodic run that ascends and descends again, and it's a fantastic showcase of what a great musician Marty is, and it perfectly fits the song. The bass riff for Dawn Patrol came from David Ellefson, and Mustaine had the lyrics about the pollution and how it's affecting our lives. The song is bass and drums only, that repeat their pattern from the beginning to the end, while lyrics are spoken on top of it. And the song is an interlude to the last song of the album, Rust in Peace, Polaris. The title track is divided in two parts actually. The first, Rust in Peace, the real title track, was written as a drum intro and riff by Mustaine many years before he even joined Metallica. It's an up-tempo song about the Cold War and the threat of nuclear weapons, while the second part, Polaris, is a fast, almost guitar-only part that closes the song and the whole album. After over 30 years, Rust in Peace is still a fantastic record, a masterpiece really. I think it is still very contemporary, and what's interesting is that it continues to get attention by the new YouTube generations. And I don't remember where I heard a young guy listening to this album saying, "Oh, did Marty Friedman play with Megadeth?" And that tells me that there's a young generation that continues to rock, that is fascinated by guitarists and that can appreciate this type of classics. And as for the comment, yes, Marty played guitar for Megadeth during the decade that saw both the band and this kind of music at its peak, with the lineup that we as old fans consider the classic Megadeth lineup. I suggest everyone to go purchase the album and don't just look at the video reviews or reactions, go and listen to the whole album. It's a great album and I bet you won't be disappointed. I'm Luca, thanking you again for watching this video, hoping to see you again on Music Fingerprints.